if we have to look for a word to resume each of the readings, I think the first reading can be resumed with the word hope, the second one with the word justice or strength, and the third one, the gospel, with the word fraternity. And I think these readings that we have today in the foundation, Our Lady of the Mount Carmel, I think they tell us more or less what we want our congregation, our church, and indeed the whole of humanity to be. The first is a place where we can feel the presence of the Lord among us, that God is really Emmanuel, is God with us, is not someone far away, but is standing with us and walking with us in our journey. The same way, following the responsorial psalm, our congregation wants to be in the church also a congregation that speaks out for justice, especially for those who are small, for those who are in need of help. This reading, that the psalm that today is taken from the Magnificat, the song of the Virgin Mary, is we can say a little woman, because Mary probably was at that time 14 or 15 years old, talking about the Lord taking down the powerful and bringing justice to his people, bringing justice to those who are suffering. And this is, we can say, an important task and a very difficult one, because not everyone in this world wants this fraternity or this justice be done. And then, as we know from also some Claretians who have suffered throughout the years, it is not easy to speak of justice when there are some powers of this world that want to keep the injustice going. And then in the gospel, I think it's a gospel that probably breaks all our understanding in the church, where we are human also. The church is also a human building, not only a God-coming building, but a human one. Like one Father Jerome likes to say, the church is the work of God in the human hands. So the part of the human hands is the part that sometimes is more difficult to handle. The same happens with the congregation. I think, like Father Claret, I think he himself said once, or many times, the congregation is really a work of the Spirit, a work of God, but at the same time we clearly know that we are also, or our congregation is also in the hands of people, and therefore it also shares our limitations and sometimes our also sin. And then here Jesus, I think it's a very interesting gospel, because in the gospel before this, I think it appears clear that some people were talking about Jesus, that this person has a problem and this is no good. So they went to look for his mother and his family to go and tell them to stop talking. This is no good for our place and our people, our family. And then Mary, probably forced by this peer pressure, she just went there and then trying to talk with Jesus some sense. Tell them, maybe don't talk too much about this. Be careful with what you say. People is listening. And then when Jesus heard that, they told him, just your mother is here. This argument of authority. So your mom is here to put things clear. Then Jesus answered with this talk, these words that I think are also the basis for what we believe is the church and the congregation. Who are my mother? Who are my brothers? And then those who are mother and brothers and sisters of Jesus are those who do the will of the Heavenly Father. And many times we do the will of the Heavenly Father without knowing it. That's why we also talk of many people who are also in the side of God, even though they don't know, because they are working for the will of God, even though they may be not aware. There are many good people in the world that they are fighting for justice, they are fighting for equality, they are fighting for a better world, a better opportunity for everyone, against violence, with a simple heart. And all these people, even though they may be other non-Christian religion, Muslim or even Buddhist, Taoist or atheist, but they are doing the will of the Father. And therefore they are also being brother, sister and mother of Jesus. So for us also as Claretians, we also have this consolation promise that as long as we die as Claretians in the congregation, we will go to heaven, we will be saved. Well, don't take it so sure. You also have to do the will of the Heavenly Father. That promise is not an empty check, but it's a blank check, but it's a promise that if we do the will of the Father as Claretians, for sure we will be, we can say, also given entrance to the place of God, to that mountain that also appears in many writings of the Old Testament, especially the first reading was also there, is that mountain where the Lord resides. And finally, just sharing a bit about the Virgin today, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. It's very interesting because it's a place that Carmel, that originally has no relation with Christianity, but then we know about it from the prophet Elias, who was there in Mount Carmel doing some prayers. Then in the Middle Ages, so probably from the 5th, 6th century, became a place where many Christians went there to, we can say, look for inspiration, aesthetical, no? They retired there. And then first individually, just they were there, everyone doing his prayers as monks, aesthetics monks, not living in community. But then by the year 900 or something like that, 9th, 10th century, this group of people, some of them, they decided to get together and they found the order of the Carmelites. And then that's the name comes from there, the order of the Carmelites. And Carmel means garden. Garden. That's my name. Because my surname is Karim, and that's a Jewish name. And Karim, Carmel or Al-Karim means the garden of God. So Carmel is supposed to be the garden of God. Karim, I only garden, no garden of God. But anyway, this idea of the garden, I think also for us can be considered our vocation, no? As a simile. Our vocation is a garden God has given us, each one of us, as our vocation as Christians, and in our case as religious, as Claretians. And then this garden, of course, has the earth, has the soil, the sun, the clouds that are, we can say, coming from. We cannot manage that is given. But a garden, to be a garden that grows properly, also needs care, and that is what we do with our vocation, our spiritual life. So we can make this garden grow with some beautiful flowers, with some order, to take care when there is no water, to bring water, to clean all the bad herbs that sometimes grow, or sometimes let them grow because they are also creatures of God, whatever we decide to do. But we can say the garden has given to us, our vocation has been given to us, and we are the ones entrusted to making it grow. And I think we can become, our garden can be also a garden of God, a Carmel, a garden that is also a place where people come to find some presence of God, or also can be a garden that is empty and has no life, it's just the soil. Depends what we do with the gifts that God has given us. Today you are going to renew your profession, and I think it's not only for you, but also for us. Every time I usually say when we have some baptism or we have some wedding on the church, that it's also a moment important not only for those who are going to get married or for those who are going to be baptized, but also for the rest, because you will remember what you said or other people say for you when you were baptized, or you will remember what you said to your wife or to your husband when you get married. So those words come alive for you, and sometimes you will remember that, oh, I said those words, that I will be faithful. I said those words, that I will love you until the end. So we will see, I am doing that or I am not doing that. I'm really being faithful to my husband or my wife. I'm really loving her with all my heart. So I think today is the same. When you pronounce your profession, we can say for all of us it's also a challenge, because maybe we are not being as faithful as we are. Maybe we are not being so careful with this garden of God that we have received. So therefore, every time we have a renewal for all who are already perpetual, I think it's also a time where a challenge, because we will be challenged by your words, by your promise. Let's hope that what you say today can be fulfilled, and then that you will be Claretians for life, for life with two meanings, for the life of others, but also by the whole of your life. Then, too much talk.